Back again. Must be Friday night. Welcome to another episode of DIY Startup with John Ash. I'm John Ash, your host tonight. We're going to talk about business topics. That's what we do on DIY Startup. DIY Startup is brought to you in conjunction with E2E Society down at the bottom. Local resources for Connecticut entrepreneurs and business people just starting out, just like me and you. This show is geared toward people with a good idea who want to start a business and have to open up their eyes a little bit more about how exactly to do that step by step. So we're going to talk about these topics, business topics, things like that. Tonight we have a lot to talk about. I talk really, really fast. I know that. I've been told that before in the comments. And tonight we have a lot to talk about. I have a lot of things to talk about. Tonight we're going to talk about websites and web presence. We're going to talk about social media, good, bad, how do you use it? Talk about that. There's a couple of things you have to know. And we're going to talk about marketplaces, online marketplaces, all different kinds of online marketplaces, places to sell your goods and services or just advertise them. You know, I've said it before, you could have a great service, you could have a great product, you have to tell people about it, and you have to make it available for people to actually use and buy. And it's actually what this show is all about. If you have any questions or comments for me, put them right there in the live chat. I can see everything that you type. If you put at E2E Society, it will highlight in yellow for me to see. Other than that, you could talk with yourself, start a conversation going, and I'll just watch it. And if there's nobody else watching, I'll be here, just talking to myself, which is what I like to do anyway. Okay. Please let me know if the video and audio are okay. Got a new microphone I'm trying out tonight. Trying to put new equipment in there. So let me know if it's okay. Okay, great. A couple of confirmed viewers. That's good to see too. All right. So welcome to my show. I'm so happy. People are texting me. I guess it's okay. Okay, so happy to be here and happy to do this. By the way, the YouTube live streaming is one of the things you have to do if you want a successful business. Maybe. We're going to talk about YouTube and how to use it, how to separate it from your personal YouTube, a couple of things like that. But things like this, it might come down to you doing a live stream, you know, just to talk about your products or services, describe it to people and help them out if they need help with your service. Okay, let me adjust the microphone. Okay, that's a little bit better. It's kind of falling down a little bit, so I fixed it up. There's a lot to do. There's a lot to do here. Okay, so tonight we're mainly going to talk about this topic. We're going to talk about business life in contemporary times. All of these things we're going to talk about tonight have to do with business life in contemporary times. No COVID talk. Let's pretend that COVID didn't exist. Besides, the things that we're going to be talking about in DIY Startup are mostly things that you have if you're starting a business with devices, or you're starting a business with services, or a web app, or a web page, or a web service, or some kind of service or thing that you're going to do. The best and toughest and bravest entrepreneurs I know of are the ones that open up brick and mortar businesses. You open up a restaurant, you're dealing with the public. You open up a garage, a mechanic's garage, or you open up a locksmith shop, or something where a service where you're going in people's homes. You got to be tough as nails. I give you guys a lot of credit because dealing with the public is very problematic. If you're hiding behind a product or a service, much like a lot of us do, how I do, my businesses make devices. They've been known to make devices. Then it's very easy because all you're dealing with is an email or a phone call at most about a product or service that didn't really work the way people wanted to. But if you have to look people face to face and talk and make deals with them and deal with money, cash, hand to hand cash, I give you guys a lot of credit. That's really tough to do, especially in these times. So in this particular one, we're not going to talk about COVID. Not to say that we're going to pretend it doesn't exist, but I'm just hoping that it won't really be a factor in any of the things we're talking about. It's not a factor in the websites or starting a web presence. It's certainly not a factor in dealing with and managing social media, and it's most certainly not a problem if you're dealing with online marketplaces, which we're going to talk about. It's a couple of different ways. So you don't even have to deal with any of that stuff if you doing it yourself, DIY startup, just like me, just like you. Okay, so let's get right into it. First, let's check the chat first. See if anybody told me that I'm sounding okay. Anybody? Yes, Dan Durden. Audio sounds a little scratchy. Okay, good. Janine says hi. Sorry about that. Yeah, I lowered the gain a little bit. I think I might have had it up a little bit high. It's okay. Thanks, Dan. Good to have you here tonight. Thanks for spending time. Janine, thanks a lot for spending time with me tonight. It's always a pleasure. Okay, let's see. Tonight's topic: business life in contemporary times. No COVID talk. We're going to talk about web presence. Did I spell that right? Social media and online marketplaces. Big topics. I talk really, really fast. Make sure you get a pen and a paper because we're going to cover a lot of ground tonight. We're going to move kind of fast. So tonight I'm going to show you slides. I'm going to show you some web examples, real life examples of things that people do to increase their web presence, dealing with social media. And we're going to talk about all different marketplaces. We're actually going to take a look at them. I have 4 of them that we're going to take a look at. It's going to be great. Great show. So stick around. All right. First topic we're going to talk about is websites and web presence. How to represent yourself on the internet. Okay. Every successful enterprise in 2020 needs an operational website. That's the way it is. As soon as you tell people about your web service or your app or your web page or your device, first thing they do is pull out their phone and look up your website. Very, very important. You only get one shot to make a good impression on people. If your website looks shabby or doesn't work or isn't put together or has typos, people won't come back. If it's simply not useful, chances are pretty good people aren't going to come back. And there's a couple of different kinds of websites that you can actually create depending on what kind of good or service that you have. We're going to cover them. Basically, they fall into 2 categories or so I've figured out. Basically, category 1 is the billboard type of web page. The web page that just displays information, simple flat things, scheduling, new products, what else could there be? Events that you're holding, specials and coupons and things like that. That's like a flat web page where it's basically just like a billboard that you want an informational thing where you want people to get information. That's a website. One kind of website. The other kind of website is like an active website. The website where the web page is actually doing something, whether it's a web service and it's actually processing data, people are putting things in, people are filling out forms, people are adding to a database, logging in to check on past orders. What else could they do? Just websites that actually do things and connect things together. Those are active websites. There's a very, very special purpose for those things. If you have a web service or some kind of web page that you anticipate doing things, I recommend, if you're not experienced with web design, spend cash. This is the only one of the 2 places that I recommend you spend cash. Spend cash to get a professional web designer to get professional results. If you want professional results, that's all there is to it. Unless you have a lot of good patience, I guess, and you have a lot of time. But setting up a web page in the beginning is a website in the beginning is not very easy. The hardest part is actually making it look nice. You know, the website and all your web presence is actually whether it's social media or a website, they're an expression of your branding, your mood, and your style. They all have to jibe together. They all have to come together in one place. They all have to have the same type of coloring, the same kind of font, have to be the same kind of mood. If you have a fun mood or a serious mood, it's reflected in the website. And people look at those things to determine if they want to do business with you or not. Simple as that. So the website and all the web presences that you have to be an expression of your branding, your mood, and your style. And that's really good. You could actually use that to your advantage. That's like setting up a storefront. You know, what do you want the storefront to look like? You want the storefront to be crowded or sparse? You want it to have lights or fun? You know, that's like, think about that in terms of your website. You got to sit down for like a little while and think about what exactly you want it to look like. But other than that, you could really do a lot of good work with websites that could be used as a superpower if you know how to do it. All right. So spend bucks to get professional results. Users They demand things. People go to a website one time for a couple of seconds, 20, 30 seconds. If it's not correct, if there's typos, if the the if the wording is not correct, the grammar is not correct, there people are not coming back. All of a sudden, you have one typo in your whole website, and people will find it, and next thing you know, you're not looking too good. Your image is kind of blown. So you have to have somebody. If you decide to make content or make a website for yourself and develop that, or you have somebody, you do it with somebody, make sure that you have at least two people proofreading through all of the web pages. Every word, you have to treat it like a newspaper. Every single word has to be proofread. All the grammar has to be correct. The spacing, the way that the paragraphs break up each other, they all have to be correct. Users demand that all the functions on your web page work correctly the first time. You have to check. It's your duty if you're going to make a web presence. It's your duty to start a web page. You have to check every single button. You have to check every single link. Make sure every single document is there. If you say you post a user guide for something, or a link to another page going someplace else, like GitHub or something, you have to check it every so often. You have to go through your whole website and check all these things. Make sure they're all functional, all the links and all the buttons. Make sure they work. Check all of the data fields. If people are filling in data fields, put bad information into them. Put some crazy JavaScript. Mash the keyboard. Just see if it will fit, if it will do something to break your actual site. Okay, good. See if it will break your site. We call it the hand, just big hands, bang, 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 right on the keyboard, just to see if the JavaScript will break, see if the process will break or something like that. Try to put in a phone number. Try to put in words where you're supposed to have a phone number. Check all the functions, all the fields. Everything has to work correctly. And it has to be useful. The most important thing is that the website has to be useful. If it's not useful, people simply won't come back. It has to have flow, and it has to have use for people. I'm pretty sure you could put all that reasons for that together. But basically, if the website is not useful, if it's outdated, or if you don't update it every so often, if it's not useful enough, especially if you have a schedule of events or new products or something like that, you have a picture of the old one. If the website is not useful, people are not going to come back. You really have to keep track of that stuff. So there's a couple of different ways that you can go about getting started as far as websites go. If you don't want to pay bucks to get professional results, you can still get results that are pretty good. It's going to take a little bit more footwork on your part. You're going to see a lot of these WYSIWYG, right? What you see is what you get platforms. That's what they call them. I think that's kind of an outdated term actually from the 90s. But the WYSIWYG platforms, number one is Wix. If you look at Wix.com, Wix.com allows you, it works in the browser and allows you to edit your web page. It allows you to create blocks of text, just like a magazine or a newspaper. You get blocks of text and you can move things around, and you can drag in all kinds of graphics and things like that. And Wix will generate all of the code for you. Check the okay, Ian's in the chat. Thanks, buddy. Hi, John. Oh, you got. Oh, I don't have a lot of capital. Do you like WordPress, Wix, or another? Ian. Yeah, Ian. I can answer that. In fact, I'm doing it right now. So we'll talk about Wix.com. So Wix is pretty good because it allows anybody just to get started with a web page. You drag and drop things right in there, graphics and stuff like that, and it just simply generates all the code for you. It just simply works. Wix is good because it works on mobile. It automatically adjusts. They have all those problems figured out, so you don't have to. It's pretty good. WordPress is good. I don't really recommend it simply because the functionality is limited. We talked about before, I mentioned there's two kinds of websites. There's a billboard type website and there's an active type of website. If you have a website that's actually doing things, actually taking information, taking data, making orders, taking money, you have database, some kind of database integration, you have some kind of JavaScript integration, you're using an API from a different website. If you know what I'm talking about, you have that, you'll probably run into that problem. Like I said, if you have any kind of database integration, WordPress makes it problematic. JavaScript is limited. In some cases, you can't write your own, which allows you to do super tricks. And some of the CSS is useful, for more than just pretty looks. Using any of those things, then WordPress might not be exactly who you want to go to in the long run. It's pretty good. The code is huge too. But WordPress works fine. Tons and tons of websites on the World Wide Web use WordPress successfully every single day. But if you want to use professional, I definitely say that you should seek professional help. Let's look at a web page. We can do that. Let's look at one that I happen to really like. It's called swizzlecircuits.com. This is a company that made STEM kits. They make kits that kids can solder together. So look, there's parallax. That's called parallax scrolling, in case you didn't know it. Very trendy, kind of on the old side, but parallax scrolling is very trendy. But look at the layout. Look at how everything is spelled correctly. Look, it's very lined up. Or do you think the same? Okay, good. So it tells you about one thing, build, why you can build, engineer. At the top, there's a menu. You hit the product catalog, and it brings you to the products that they have. They only have seem to have 3 products, but you hit the thing, and you can scroll through different pictures, which is pretty nice. You hit this, and you can get a bigger view of it, which is nice. People always want it's a kit. They're electronic kits for kids, so they show you everything that comes in the kit. They show you what the actual finished product's going to look like. There's a brief description here of each. All of these do that. If you click through it, you can see. What do you know? Dan saying something? Probably someone on my audio. Let me jack it up a little bit. I raised it up a little bit. Okay, I came back. So I raised it up a little bit. It might be a little too loud. Okay. Click to learn more, and it will bring you to, let's see, over here, bring you to the page. Click through the pictures again. It will tell you some things. There's some documents that are attached to this down here in the assembly booklet. But it's very nice. Very nice website. Back to Susan Circuits and then brings you to the home. Please contact us and things like that. It's very nice to lay out. You know, I mean, if you look at these things and you think about what exactly this is trying to tell you in terms of the company's style and the company's mood, the red and white, you know, it's kind of a fairly serious thing. So that tells you a lot about what the company is thinking. Okay. Pretty nice. Let's move on. There's a lot to do. Okay. Here's the next one. Here's a web page must-have. Here's a web secret. Hold on, I'm going to raise my microphone a little bit. Give me a hard time for some reason. So here is a web page must-have. This is a web page secret. To make your website indexed by Google and other search engines, you need to have something called a meta tag. And a meta is information inside the web page source. We're going to take a look at it in a couple of seconds. Inside the web page source that tells you that tells a description of the website. Google has these little tiny scripts they call bots, and when it detects that a new website is coming on, it goes through the website and figures out how to catalog it. Stop texting me. Google figures out how to catalog the website. It does that in a couple of different ways. The most prominent one is by having a meta tag. So there's a bit of information you have in the source that tells Google what your website is about so they can index it properly. If you don't have that, then Google will go through, the Google bots will go through your web page and look at the links that you have and the graphics that you have, and it'll try to get a handle on what exactly your website is all about. This way it can index it properly. Let's take a look. Let's take a look at meta tag. I can pull one up. Let's go back to the Swizzle Circuits website. Let's right click. So this is how you find out. So right click. Oh, you can't see it. View page source. So if you view the page source, this is actually what the web page looks like. This is all the HTML that comprises the web page here. One of the parts. If you look up here, you might not be able to see it. In the head section, there's the head section. There's the meta. This is the most important tag right here. This whole line that's right here, it tells it tells things. This meta name. Let me see if I can highlight it. See. Is there a way for me to? I guess I can zoom. Oh my God, I can! Awesome. All right. So this is the meta tag. It's up here in the top. It's on the in the HTML in the head section. So if you look at it, meta name. So this person on Swizzle Circuit said meta name. Keywords, content, STEM, DIY, maker, electronic kits, educational electronic kits, soldering, easy electronics, electronic design, meta name, a description, content, description, custom made electronic educational electronic kits designed from STEM learning. That is what Google uses when people search for Swizzle Circuits. It uses that particular description right there, unless it has a reason not to. But you have to have this in your website. If you pursue a professional, or even if you're doing it yourself, you have to. It's very, very important to make sure that they include a meta. In fact, there are services, you've probably seen them, where people go around and they say, oh, we can improve your Google index, in 10 minutes, so just give me $100. Chances are pretty good. All they're doing is going through your source code and they're putting in a meta tag. WordPress makes this kind of difficult to do, and Wix, I don't know if you can edit the meta tag on Wix. But if you do it yourself, get professional help that know exactly what to do with that. That's pretty cool. I can zoom in. Nice. Let's go back to how do I do? Cool. I'm learning this stuff too. So that's the source code for the Swizzle Circuit stuff. Let's check quick check in the chat. That's pretty good. So we got 3 concurrent viewers. I'm pretty happy about that. The more the better. You guys can see each other's chat, by the way. I don't. You probably know that, but if you chat something to Ian and start a conversation, they can both see it. Oh, Ian got another question right in here. Hi, John. I'm a new entrepreneur and was told to build a mobile app, but I don't. Why? Mobile apps are very tricky. In fact, we're going to have a whole episode just on mobile apps. If you're a mobile app entrepreneur, I got about an hour's worth of talking to tell you everything you need. In fact, I have a document. I'm going to put it on. I'm going to post it to e2esociety.com. I wrote a 1,000-word paper on app management and development for entrepreneurs. It's not an instruction on how exactly to make an app, but it's more of a guide on how to manage the deployment of an app and how to manage it after it's deployed. Just a couple of things you have to think about when you're actually crafting it. Again, this series, DIY Startup, is simply to open up your eyes about a couple of things that you have to be aware of when trying to start a business in 2020. All right, let's go back to the. Okay, so that's websites and web presence. You need to get a website. There's no question about it. Sorry about that. Even if you have a rinky-dink thing, even if you think you're just getting started, the web page for me has always been like a business card. You have a successful, if you buy the .com, which I guess I should have a show on that too, instructional on how to do that. You have your own .com, you have your business cards. Those two things, to me, it makes you feel like I got something. I'm like the boss of something. It makes you feel like you own something. You tell people about your .com. Your business instantly went from the piece of paper and the ideas that you're kicking around to something real that anybody could look at in the world. Morocco, France, California, anywhere there's internet access, people can get access to your website, which is a pretty powerful thing, especially in 2020. Wow. Let me take a quick drink. Great. So that's websites and web presence. We just touched on it. How long did I talk about with that? 20 minutes or so. There's more to that. Maybe if you want me to, I could have another discussion on that stuff. Put it in the chat. And maybe I'll get to it next time. Now we're going to change gears. We're going to talk about chapter 2 in the discussion. We're going to talk about social media. That's another part of web presence. In fact, it's closely related to websites, all bundled up together. If you want to have a successful enterprise in 2020, you're going to have to embrace these things. I'm sorry to tell you. Before we move on, let's check the chat, see if anybody's telling me that my stream is dead or something. Stream is healthy. Excellent connection. Looking good. We have a couple of people really happy. All right, this is part 2. We're going to talk about social media. You think it's easy? It's not easy. You know, you'll find out. We're going to talk about it right now. The trickiest part of social media is learning how to separate your personal social media from business social media. Even starting up a Twitter for a business is very, very thorny and very, very complicated. Trying to set up a YouTube channel that doesn't have any influence on your personal YouTube is very, very thorny and very, very tricky. We're not going to go over that right now, but I'm just telling you that there's a little bit of a learning curve. My suggestion is to get somebody that's under 25, and they could probably do it for you. Sorry to say it that way, but it's a very tricky, time-consuming thing to set up social media. Okay, so your Twitter for your business can't have anything to do with your personal Twitter. Your YouTube, your viewing preferences, YouTube keeps track of all of your search history, so you don't want that interfering with any of your business YouTube videos, because it will show up on the right hand side of your product demonstrations or whatever kind of videos that you have there. Or Twitter, you have to kind of keep them separate. Very, very tricky to do. It can be done, but it's one of those things that you think it's easy. It's not easy until you get down into it and try to start untangling that mess of Google and YouTube and Twitter and whatever other kind of social medias you have. We're going to talk about that, but it's very difficult to learn how to separate personal social media from business. So give a little bit of thought to that before you start. Social media platforms. Okay, in 2020, what do we have? These are the big ones, I guess. If you have any others, you could tell me about it in the chat, the live chat. Maybe we'll talk about it. Social media platforms. Twitter. Twitter is, think about it as mainly for outbound communications. When you want to tell people something, it's like a bulletin board or something like that. That's how I tend to look at it. Maybe I'm wrong. But Twitter on its own, how you're going to interface with Twitter for your business, I think can be viewed as mainly an outbound communication. Twitter is very useful because you can hashtag and you can link to other organizations and other products that are like yours. Somehow bring those together. Your feed can appear on someone else's, your tweets can appear on someone else's feed and vice versa. But mainly look at Twitter as in terms of outbound communication. That's how I think most businesses look at it. Facebook is very thorny to set up and maintain if you want to separate it from your personal Facebook. But Facebook's power is that it has a lot of local community groups on it. So a lot of homeowner associations in your town will have their own Facebook page, or a lot of times the school will be linked together. Your kids at your children's elementary school would have an elementary school group, and you could use those local community groups to really get a lot of advertising done for free, or just simply tell people about your product, the business, whatever it is, on Facebook. So Facebook's superpower is the fact that there's a lot of local community group pages on that you can use. Other than that, maintaining that and keeping track of your Facebook for your business is simply a bear, and it's very difficult. That's another thing that's very difficult to separate it from your personal Facebook. One of the problems with this is that if you maintain this social media, maintain social media platforms, it's not rare for entrepreneurs, owners of businesses to get tagged on their personal Facebook page or their personal Twitter or their personal YouTube page. Very, very difficult to untangle if you are tagged personally. If somebody doesn't like your product and they find out that your name is John Ash, they go to your personal Facebook page and they can tag you as a fraud or tag you as something pretty bad, and it's very difficult to untangle that. Let's think about that stuff. Okay, let's get back into it. So YouTube is mainly for product demos and instructions. So if you have a product, if you have a device or a product, even if you have a web app or a web service, you want to demonstrate how to do things on it, how to use it properly, you have to have a YouTube video. In fact, I recommend almost everything you do have a YouTube video, because that's another thing people go to. First thing to do when you tell them about your business is they go to the try to look up a .com, and then they go right to YouTube or one of these social media platforms, and they try to look up videos about your product. So you got to have something. Here at EDE Society, we have these live chats. We have different episodes and different shows and things like that. We hope to build on that, but this is the first one, and this is the first series that we have on our YouTube thing. YouTube can be very powerful for instruction. So if you have a product that you think, or a device that's very difficult to use, or you think that users might benefit from a little bit of extra instruction that can't be put on a piece of paper, then I definitely think that a YouTube video will will fix all kinds of problems. If you see that something is repeatedly happening with your product, a bunch of people having the same kind of problem, a YouTube video can easily solve that, especially if you're getting a lot of emails, which nobody wants. So people can solve their own problems by looking at your video. What are some social media pitfalls? Okay, social media pitfalls. It's like a superpower. It could be used for good or evil. You always have to have your social media ears on at all times. When you're running an enterprise, when you're running a business, and you're trying to maintain your social media platforms, which, by the way, works out to be about a full-time job, because everybody that's using it expects a quick response to questions or comments that they have on Twitter or YouTube. They want the most up-to-date information on all the stuff. They want to have information on your new product. They want to have everything quick that day. If they put a comment, they want you to go back on it and say, no, that's not right because you didn't hit the red button. Or no, that's not, you have to charge the battery, or something like that. If people have a question, the tendency is you get fatigued. People, I think customers, users get fatigued on these social media platforms if they post a question on one of your forums or Twitter and they don't get a comment. I think it makes them pretty upset, and not too happy with that. This culture of expecting that A, everybody's opinion matters, and B, that everything has to be instant or within an hour. I don't know about that, but if you want to run the social media stuff, you have to be aware that users are going to expect everything in quick. The other thing to watch out for is social media linking. So if you have a Facebook page and people start liking your product or service and they're from the group that you might not want attention from, you got to monitor all that stuff. If people start really smashing you down on Twitter, like repeatedly, it could be the same person, but just some people have nothing else to do than make you feel bad, so if you have to really monitor this stuff, Twitter and all that, you have to take a look every day or every couple of hours, at least every 2 days, a day or two. Take a look at Twitter, make sure nobody's smashing you, because that could be super bad for your business reputation. All of this ties in with your image, for better or for worse. I guess that's what it all comes down to. Okay. Ian's trying to come in with something. I'm going to adjust my microphone. Hold on. My microphone stand is not really. Let's try that. I think it's pretty good. All right. Take the chat. What do we have? Nice. We got a couple of viewers in the chat. That's good. Let me know if everything is going okay, video-wise and all that. Please. What are we going to talk about now? Next part of this thing. We don't need the source code for that. Social media platforms. Yeah, it's a lot of pitfalls. So social media can be used for good or for evil, depending on what you want to do. I always thought it was kind of weird that Coca-Cola has a Facebook page. I never understood why Twix has to have a Facebook page. What's the purpose of that? What's going to happen with Twix? The design hasn't changed in 50 years. Like, is it going to be like a new Twix? They did that a crazy marketing campaign with the right Twix and left Twix and all that. But like, what's the purpose of going to the Twix Coca-Cola page. I don't know. Not to say that to say anything bad about Coca-Cola, but I just don't see the purpose of some companies using social media. I think it's a lot of the it's the they have to they feel like to be hip they have to be involved in these things. And is it useful? I don't know. Let me know in the chat. Let's talk about it. Okay. How long did I go for? 37 minutes. So now we're going to talk about the third part of the discussion here. What about online marketplaces? So you have a device, you have a service, you have a web service, you have an app. How do you get this stuff out? Apps are mainly sold through stores. They're sold through the Apple Store and through Google Play Store and the Amazon Store and all that. You got to learn how to navigate that. Like I said, I think apps are going to have its own episode. I could pretty easily talk about 45 minutes about apps and app deployment and management, because I've been involved in a couple of different, maybe three app projects where I was part of the development team making apps, working as a consultant, and really opened my eyes to a lot of things you have to be aware of when you're trying to develop a successful app. Maybe we'll talk about that. Maybe that's a whole 40-minute discussion right there. I'll let you know when it's going to happen. Anyway, let's talk about online marketplaces. So this part of the discussion is mainly for for people that make devices and things. So this is for thing businesses. This isn't really for service business. So it's online marketplaces. So in 2020, where can you sell your goods? Okay, other than opening up a store, which now is not such a good idea. Next year or so, there are lots of places, and this is like the best time, I think. This is one of the greatest times in history to be an entrepreneur. If you ask me, if you have a good idea, this is the best time in history to try to push it, because there's so many different ways that you can do it. You're not stuck with paying a rent on a storefront. You're not stuck with all of the stuff like that, because you can do it all online. And for better or for worse, it's an important thing to be aware of. At least that's why we're having this discussion right now. Okay. So the first one is Etsy. So Etsy is mainly good for crafts and bespoke goods, like made to order stuff. Now, I'm not saying that that's all that you can, excuse me. I'm not saying that that's all Etsy is good for, but that seems to be the main thrust of their website, is for people making crafts and bespoke, like made to, custom things. Like, let's take a look at some. Take a look at some examples right now. How do we set it up? A lot of clicking going on. A lot of windows to manage. Now I'm on that side. Okay, Etsy. So let's take a look. See, this is Etsy.com. Let's take a look at some of the things that we have. Matching tie-dye sets, tiny gold nameplates, laser engraved mugs. See, this is mostly holiday stuff, Christmas ornaments and things like that. This is mostly custom made and custom ordered. Seems like mostly craft. If you want to buy, if you're shopping for, geez, I don't know. If you're shopping for some kind of IoT project, or you're searching for some kind of a new calculator, chances are pretty good you're not going to come to Etsy and try to buy one of those. So that's mainly what Etsy is for, bespoke things. And that could be pretty powerful too, because this is a great way to sell your custom made things. If you have a laser engraver, if you want to sell custom Christmas ornaments, great business idea. I think especially now. Let's take a look at some. I'm going to click through. Let's see. Oh, that's very nice. Custom couple of friendly ornaments. See, I suppose that there's artistic stuff. $55. Free shipping, though. Claims to be a bestseller. Let's see. Face mask. Here's masks. There's an ornament with masks on it. It's very cool. $20. I actually might buy that. That's a bad idea. Personalized Christmas balls and things like that. So if you have a custom business, you have a way to make custom items, man, this is a great thing for you. This is great. This takes the place of going to all those fairs on Saturday afternoons and sitting around those craft fairs and things like that, and county fairs and town fairs, standing behind the table trying to get people to buy your custom-made Christmas ornaments, or renting a counter at the mall, which is very expensive. You could do it all through Etsy. And the thing is, like I said before, Etsy has built up a reputation over time of being a marketplace for things like this. So if people are looking for ornaments, they click right to Etsy. So that's good. So I suppose Etsy sets up the framework for you to sell things. That's pretty good. There's a couple of other options we have. Tindy. So Tindy is like the Etsy for electronic stuff. You know what that is. So Tindy is another electronic. If you have electronic devices or you're making kits, DIY kits are very popular right now. People want to learn how to solder stuff for themselves. Tindy is a great place to do that. In fact, let's take a look at Tindy right now. Let's see. Let's take a quick look and let's get the gist of what Tindy is all about. I'll bring in the browser. Okay, this is Tindy.com. Buy awesome things directly from makers. Okay, so right off the bat, take a look, 2-second look at their website. I see a circuit breaker. I'm sorry, I see a circuit board with components on it. It says directly from makers. Some of the language that they're using, makers. Right off the bat, you instantly know what they're up for. You have to think about that when you're designing your own web page. So you look here, there's kits. See, there's electronic kits. So if you happen to have an electronic kit or electronic device, great place to sell it. Let's look at a synthesizer because I'm absolutely in love with synthesizers. So let's click on the Sysmo Optics Analog Desktop, $237. But look, it's a great analog. It's a great synthesizer device here. So they're selling a device. So all of these places give you a platform and a marketplace. Etsy, Tindy, eBay, Amazon, all give you the framework that you need. You don't have to sell it through your website, which you can do, but it's very difficult to set up. Tindy and Etsy, they already did all the footwork for you. They have the cart. People can place orders, and they have that whole procedure and that whole chain of creating an order and all that. They have it all worked out. Chances are pretty good. I mean, I know that they do. Tindy and Etsy and eBay all have ways of getting you paid, which is pretty good. Most go through PayPal, which you have to set up a PayPal thing. PayPal's great. Goes directly into your bank account. If you follow their rules, which you find out about. So you put your product here as an entrepreneur on Tindy, and then click add to cart, and then people can buy your thing directly. Pretty nice. So they give you all the framework that you need. A lot of other synthesizers, popular products. It's pretty nice. So you could get if you're popular, you could get your thing right up. You can get your product right up here for some free advertising, I suppose. So that's good. Like I said before, they give you all of the tools that you need to run your business without actually having to run your business. Let's go back to the slide. Next one, eBay. Good old eBay. From the beginning, eBay has always been powerful. Now eBay kind of changed over time. eBay used to be bidding, complete auctions. Now it's buy it now. So now basically you don't have to bid anymore like you used to, although they still have bidding. But it basically creates a structure for you to sell your goods right over the thing. They provide the marketplace structure and all that stuff, but there's a cost with eBay per sale. Now all of these services charge you something. Etsy and Tindy, I think, are 3 or 4%. eBay is a little bit more than that, 7%, but they will give you good exposure because everybody basically knows eBay. So all of these platforms, they charge you a percentage for your sale, for better or for worse. I mean, they're doing like I said before, they're doing all of the work for you. They're giving you the structure, they're giving you the payment method, they're letting you have people place orders and things like that without you even having to do all that stuff. Oh, Ian in the chat, Ian says, "Hi John, I'm a new entrepreneur. I was told Instagram and TikTok. TikTok is a thorny one. There's a lot of garbage on TikTok, and it's easy to be swallowed up by the garbage. Instagram, I guess, goes hand in hand with Twitter. I suppose you could use that. It's pretty good. What does I'd like to know what Dan Durden thinks about Instagram and TikTok. TikTok, there seems to be a lot of stuff on it. Like it seems to be not really the place where businesses belong. In fact, I kind of wonder why Coca-Cola has a TikTok page, unless they have their it's part of their marketing campaign, which is fine. Um, thanks for that. That's nice. This is fun. This is cool. Okay, eBay. So everybody basically knows about eBay. eBay sets up the whole structure that you need. You can put your object on there, and people search for it, or your device, or even services you could sell through eBay. So you put it up there, and people can find it. They can search, and it will show you all kinds of stuff. One problem with eBay, other than the cost, is that it gets swallowed up in a lot of the stuff. So eBay works where you post. They're still chained to this auction idea from the past. So you put a posting for your product up there, you put it for 7 days, and then you have to redo it. It's the same thing like Craigslist. Craigslist is the same thing. We could talk about Craigslist actually if you want to. That's a pretty good place to sell things. But Craigslist is the same thing. Every week, if you don't remove it, it gets removed automatically, and they do that to prevent all the dead stuff from sticking around too long. I'll take a look at Craigslist. Or maybe if we have time and I feel like talking. If you want to take a look at Craigslist together with me, tell me in the chat and we'll take a look at Craigslist. How about we do that? So let's go back to this thing. The last place is Amazon. Everybody wants to get to Amazon. Amazon is very, very tricky, very, very thorny, because they know that they're very powerful. They know that everyone for a product goes to Amazon. They know that they will sell your products. They will get you exposure. They know that they have a great reputation for doing all this stuff. And also they know it's very trendy right now. Amazon, the top thing you have to know about Amazon, your product requires a UPC to sell. The UPC is this code. This is a UPC. Look at this old Radio Shack. Can you believe it or not? Let's see if I have any other UPC example. In fact, I can show you a product with no UPC. Let me see if I got anything else. Oh, hold on. No. Man. No. I don't have anything at hand that has a UPC, another UPC code on it. Okay, so but getting UPC, so you understand, it's a barcode. It's on every product. It has to be unique. It's one of these barcodes on the product right down there. It has to be unique to every product. In fact, when you get your product, you have to register to. You have to buy one of those UPCs from this huge big database. So you have to like file. They're very expensive if you're going to do it yourself, and they come in chunks. They come in. You have to buy them in like 1,000 UPC code chunks. Not really practical if you have one or two devices or goods to sell, but there are brokers that can like break that and they can they make a big order and they decimate it and they sell you one or two. It's not cheap, but you can buy one or two at a time. There's brokers that can do that for you. Just put UPC code buy in Google and it'll come up with something. So all of your devices need to be registered with the UPC, and that involves registering your company and your device on this big database so that they can scan it. Amazon requires that. So if you have laser engraved coffee mugs, you have to figure out a way to stick the UPC on the bottom. I can't believe I don't have anything else with a UPC on it on my workbench. I don't have any other products. It's kind of strange. Here's one without. I mean, if you want to see one without, so I got a little screwdriver kit, and there's no UPC. You need that. So Amazon, they demand it. Amazon also has very, very strict relationship rules. I'm gonna move the microphone up. It's kind of Sorry. Kind of keeps falling down. That's kind of shabby of me, I know. I should go to the intro scene while I do that. Like flashback to the intro. Um, so Amazon has very strict relationship rules. They expect you to be very attentive of it at all times. They charge you to. They expect you to set up and respond to quickly any kind of concerns that customers who buy your goods have. If people say that they got a defective one, Amazon demands that you have a mechanism of handling that. Amazon demands that you have a customer service place. They demand you respond quickly. In fact, they track all that stuff too. So if you get too many complaints, Amazon will just boot you right off the marketplace. That's how they do it. The other thing with Amazon is a very limited customization. If you sell, let's say you made the ultimate flashlight. Nobody's ever seen a flashlight like yours before in your life. So you put flashlight on Amazon. People type in flashlight, they're going to see basically every flashlight in creation. So there's a good chance that you could get swallowed up in the Amazon swamp. Nice! The Amazon swamp of goods too. So there's not too much customization that you can do in terms of your getting your product noticed and out there in a very particular way if you want to do that. In fact, let's take a look at Amazon here. So people, I'm on the wrong page. There's a lot of windows, a lot of windows. Okay, so let's see. Let's say so there's a lot of stuff here. This actually looks like one big store, but it's not. All Amazon did was link independent retailers together. So you place an order through Amazon.com and it goes to you, and then you ship out your goods to them, unless you deliver it to the fulfillment center, which I dealt with somebody recently who tried to do that, who tried to ship goods directly to the fulfillment center so that Amazon can deal with it and distribute it. That's another one of those relationships that they do not make very easy and simple. Maybe I'm wrong about that. Maybe once you get into it, you'll figure out that it's not all that bad. But I just know that I heard people have horror stories about trying to get in the fulfillment center. But again, Amazon looks like one big store, the Amazon store, but it's not. It's all independent retailers, just like you selling their products. So let's pick a product. Let's say that you made the ultimate baby carrier. One of those baby carriers that you put on your chest, hold the baby with. Everybody had one. I had them too. Let's say you design and are producing the ultimate baby carrier. So let's put that into Amazon. Let's see what comes up. Baby carrier. Okay, so here you go. Here's some sellers. Here's a lot of Ergo Baby Omni. Let's see if we can pick out one that looks like it's by somebody. See the Aqua Bros Baby Wrap. Even Flow Baby Wrap. Ergo Baby. See this Ergo Baby Omni 360? That might be like... But anyway, the idea is that when you go to sell your product on Amazon, you go to list it there. You're listed with all the Even Flows and the Infantinos and all of the professional brands. So this doesn't really allow you to separate yourself, your brand and your product, like as maybe you would like, as if you were selling it through your website, or even eBay allows you to customize things a little bit more than this. But yeah, you'll be like roped in with all the Even Flow baby carriers. Good luck trying to make yourself stand out in that environment. So that's pretty good. We talked about a lot today. Let's take a look at let's go through the slides. Did I hit everything I wanted to hit? Let's take a look again. Minutes. Business life in contemporary. I'm going to end with this one. Business life in contemporary. So we talked about business life in contemporary time. We talked about websites and web presence and how to do that, social media, marketplaces, and all that other stuff. Boy, each one of these I know can easily be its own episode or discussion, but I try to put them in there Lucky for you and everyone that this will be on YouTube basically till the end of time, until the world gets too hot to live in. So you'll be able to look at it, go slowly. If these things, social media, or marketplaces, or websites and web presence actually interest you, you can go through it very slowly. Very, very tricky, thorny issues. So let's look at my notes. Let's look at some topics that we could talk about for next week. I'm trying to line up a couple of guests. In fact, I think next week I'm going to try to have a co-host on here. If we could do that. I'm going to try to have another member from the EDE Society come on the stream with me, and we could talk about a business topic together. Might not be one of these. Manufacturing. I got a couple of ideas for new shows. Don't forget the old stuff, designing products. We'll talk about something, but talk about one business topic. I'll schedule it and down at the bottom, and the YouTube schedule will be scheduled for next Friday, and you'll see what the topic is. I think I'm going to try to bring in another person. We'll pick a topic and we'll talk about it back and forth for about 20 minutes or so, if that's interesting to you. Probably will be. A couple of people from the EDE Society that we could talk to. And I'm trying to line up some guests too. So I'm trying to line up. I have one in particular I'm going for, but I have a couple of people that are good candidates for interviews. So about 30 minutes, 20 minutes of talking to people about how they ran their own business. I'm trying to get serial entrepreneurs. So I'm trying to get people that are addicted to starting businesses. I know one. So, and we could talk about what their experiences were, good and bad, in terms of all the stuff that we talk about on DIY Startup. Getting money, selling products, and dealing with customers and all that stuff. So I know one particular serial entrepreneur that I'd like to get on the show, maybe in 2 weeks or so. Talk about his experience starting and running and maintaining the business. I guess dealing with money and stuff like that. So it's pretty good. Next week I'll try to get a co-host. 2 weeks from now I'll try to get a guest, and we'll go back to talk about other topics. I have a lot of topics to talk about. As you can see, I don't have a problem talking. So we can talk about manufacturing. We're gonna have one whole episode on manufacturing in the lab. I'll show you my lab over there, and I'll show you how I manufacture devices and products right from my basement. In fact, this is one of the best times to be an inventor and entrepreneur and head of your own business, because you can get things so easily, and you can manufacture things, and processes that were far out of reach in the past are now easily at hand. All you have to do is wait. If you can afford to wait a couple of weeks for anything, you get anything you want. You get parts, and you can get PCB, custom circuit boards made. You get injection molded plastics. You get anything you want just ordering from your basement and do the assembly. Pretty easy. Find things, get information. It's a fantastic time to be doing what we're doing. Okay, so I think I'm going to wrap up. I've been yapping. It's exactly 1 hour. I made it to the 1 hour mark. It's a big deal for me. So this is pretty good. So thanks. Talked about a lot of good stuff. I'll schedule in another live stream for next Friday at 8 o'clock. And as always, thanks a lot for spending time with me. And go see if you can start a business. Thanks.